Hey everybody, thanks for stopping by. I got a couple of late night stories. This is two separate stories about when we had visitors late at night we didn't expect. The first one is about, now the first thing you got to realize again, where we live. We live 5 miles from the nearest person, been through it before, I followed my videos. Really far out. There's no power. At the time, there's no phone. We are out there. There's nobody around anywhere. And it's, so it's, I think around, I'm not sure, but I think it's about 10:30. Get a bang on the door. And, with nobody being around, you're cautious because, it's not like being in town where, somebody could be banging on your door for some reason. But this is, who's out there? So I opened up the door and there was this guy and didn't know him or nothing like that. And he says, if you can help me, he says, I'm stuck around over here on the other side of the property over here. And I was camping. He said, a little funny guy. I thought maybe when it was all over with, he might have been a criminal type. Can't say that he was. Not accusing the guy, but it could have been. So anyway, he says, I've been camping, and he was over in the National Forest part of the property. And he says, it'd been raining for the last day or so, and I can't get out. I wonder if you could help me. So, I said, well, it was really bad. It'd been raining. It stopped raining for the time being. But I didn't really want to, but I did, So I got this big Dodge Ram Charger. Isn't he a beast? Just a beast. I think about 12-inch lift kit on it, something like that. Big monster type. But the best four-wheel drive I ever had. I didn't really drive it much unless we had to use it for something like that. So the guy hopped in, and he was not on our property. He had crossed over onto the national forest or the property. And I don't know why. I know I'm a mountain guy, and I've been here, and I know why people do things. Because I used to be a city guy too. You don't realize it. So there's no misintentment, as far as me putting a guy down or not. But I don't see how a guy can, off the main road, park his truck down a really, pretty steep mud road and sit there for an hour in the pouring rain and not move his truck out. But he didn't. So we got to the top of the road, and I'm looking down here, and I'm going, wow. And there's no gravel. This is a mud. It's like it's a logging trail is what it is. He had I think it was one of the smaller Ford pickups. I don't even think it was four-wheel drive. I don't remember if it was or what it might have been. I'm not sure. But he was all the way down, maybe 100, 150, 200 feet. Down. Can you stop her from doing that?
Lady.
He was all the way down and parked down there, facing, going out. And I just looked at it. Like I said, I'm not putting nobody down, but I don't see how anybody can go park that far down it was steep. And he's facing out, and it's raining heavy for a day, hard. So anyway, I didn't know what to do because I didn't even want to take my Ram Charger down there, and it was set up to do stuff like that. So I ended up, I backed down almost the whole way. I think I backed down to about 30 feet from the truck. And this is, and I mean, my truck's sliding downhill, truck's trying to back down here. So I got him, and I hooked him up. And believe it or not, the old Dodge took that guy all the way to the top. you know, and got him out, and he was out of there. And he was a nice guy. He was a nice guy. Might have been, you know, no problem. I'm not trying to accuse the guy of anything, but it was one of the weird stories. People, you know, out in the middle of nowhere, you knock on a guy's door, you know, 10:30, 11, 12 o'clock at night. It's, you know. So anyway, and there was another one that kind of the opposite story. It's about 10:30, 11 o'clock at night again, and some guy walks and knocks on the door, you know, and I open the door, and there's a kind of a small guy, an old guy. I think he was in his 70s, old guy all by himself, and it was good weather and everything, by the way. And he was a little guy, and he says, "Excuse me," real polite and everything, you know, well dressed, stuff like that. He says, "Can you help me?" I said, "Yeah, what do you got?" He goes, "I own a piece of property in here somewhere, but I don't know where it is." And you know, I was wondering why he didn't come up in the daytime. But anyway, to make a long story short, he's quite a ways away, and by the time he got out, and he got lost, and he's all by himself. I think it was 78. I'm not sure. Guy had all his marbles, you know, but either which way, but he ended up driving around out in the boonies, you know, which is my property, and he didn't know where his property was. He hadn't been up there in years and years and years, and I don't know if the story goes that he had carried the paper, you know, for somebody to buy it, and he folded or whatever the deal was. But anyway, he left, you know, during the morning or something. By the time he got up here, it was so late. So he told me what the parcel number was. Came in the house and everything, and we looked it up on the map, and it was parcel that adjoined mine, a 5-acre piece, and kind of a long, skinny piece, and it was steep. But he was embarrassed, you know, because it's late at night, and you know we had the light on. But he didn't know where his property was, and I says, okay, well, you know, looking up, I knew exactly where it was, you know. So I took him down. It's, you know, like I said, it's pitch black outside, and I took him down, and you know, he didn't have a lot of good roads or nothing, but I took him to the top of the road or the property, and I think I took him down to the bottom of the property. But anyway, he says, "You know anybody who wants to buy it?" I said, "Yeah. How's the price looking?" So he gave me a good price, and I bought it. So that was one of the kind of neat story how I ended up getting one of my 5 or 6 pieces because of the guy, and it was good. You know, we just, you know, gave him the money, and it was a good deal, good clean deal. But anyway, those are kind of a couple of weird stories. It's just that when you're living out as far as we do, and somebody knocks on the door at 10 o'clock at night, you know, gets your attention. But everything turned out okay. Thanks.